Welcome to Weather Impact Live from Tampa to Jacksonville. We've got meteorologist Mike Prangley here, yours truly in the Gator cap, and our very own Gator as well. Lee Southwick, meteorologist from First Coast News. Great to see you.
Great to see you. I love the hat. I mean, I said this right before we came on live, but the opposing team, you are in the heart of the opposing team's region. I can't believe that you're so boldly a Gator, but yes. I also totally understand. So yeah, I love that.
As a Gator dad, they understand here I have to wear my true colors, and I wish USF luck, of course. A great school for sure, but yeah, the Gators are a little better, and we'll see that on the football field today. As far as the weather, hey, we are excited here, Lee. So we've got great weather from Duval to Hillsborough County. So I'm going to just give a little overview of our show today, and then we'll take it away. So, hey, Troy, I'll walk to the wall. Let's take a look at those current conditions. Tampa, right now, 86 degrees, but there it is. It's the heat and humidity. It's not the heat, it's the humidity. Why I always say it's a little bit of both, especially here in Florida. So notice feels like temperature when those dew points are up close to 80 at 97 right now. And then there's old Duval. 85, feeling like 95, but yes, we know what's been going on the last couple of weekends here at home, right? It's been too rainy. I mean, last weekend we had 6 to 10 inches of rain in Tampa. Folks, my friends and family in Jacksonville have been complaining about those rainy weekends, but I think it's going to be different this weekend. I think we're going to see more in the way of sunshine. We're going to have to remember our heat safety tips, especially if you're heading to Everbank tomorrow. It happens every year in September. We have a lot of folks that get heat strokes, so we got to take that heat seriously no matter how used to it we are. In fact, not only do we have our opening kickoff games, I know Tampa is traveling to Atlanta, so that's a dome game, but we've got the full moon weekend. This was my view about 4 a.m. this morning. That's Sand Key. You can see the tropical paradise out there, tropical trees, there's little huts there, and I'm looking forward to getting out there this evening for a beautiful sunset. And this full moon is officially going to be tomorrow, and we'll talk more about it. It's a special kind of moon. In the tropics, a little quick overview, we're going to get to the tropics. Good news is you've got lowering chances of a tropical system in the open Atlantic, but closer to home, that could be a different story. And then, of course, for our full moon weekend, it includes USF visiting our very own Gators in Gainesville here. So we've got Lee here and we're tracking a pattern change here across Florida, though, as we go into the next few days. And I'm thinking it's going to take time. We still have a very large and in charge subtropical ridge in place. So if you look at the pressures on the maps, we go back to the basics here, look at the SQTs, that ridge of high pressure is still holding on. I think it's holding on even not just for Tampa, but for Jacksonville for a good portion of the weekend. So any of the organized widespread rain would be with the weather impact alerts next week. Even here in Tampa, I think we could get a weather impact alert Tuesday, Wednesday. I think Jacksonville already has one. Lee will have that. But as you look at our Saturday forecast here, notice very low rain chances for the most part. Most of your lift in the atmosphere, a front up across Atlanta and North Georgia. And then we've got a old front. That's a very old frontal boundary that's fizzled out this morning that brought some quick heavy showers to areas of Highlands County. And as I look at this overall pattern, this is more like a typical summer pattern. You got the sea breezes meeting, and then you've got those inland storms really starting to fire up. Notice by the time we head toward 2:30, 3 o'clock to about 7 o'clock, and that's the problem. That's where everybody's heading, right, for the big game. So you got folks traveling up toward Alachua County, and that's where we could have some of the storms. But again, even with that said, we know most of the lift is not coming till next week, so this is more of your isolated to scattered storms around the area. So the hope is, even though Alachua County is expecting rain, maybe we'll keep that away from the stadium. That's the kind of rain we're talking about today. In fact, by 6 o'clock and through the evening, you can see all of us with the much lower rain chances. Sunday could be a little different. For our friends up in North Florida and South Georgia, we've got a front making some headway farther to the south, so that could increase maybe some late day storms, but again, more of the widely scattered storms. And here in Tampa as well, I'm keeping the rain a little on the lower side again, more about 30 to 40% coverage with temperatures, again, the big story with highs back up near 90 degrees. So as we look at the overall week across the Sunshine State, it's going to turn stormy this weekend. Yes, we're talking about typical sea breeze storms. And then as we go into Monday, look how things change across North Florida with the front, more of the widespread gully watchers. That spreads in towards Central Florida, and it could be a couple, 2 to 3 days of very heavy rain across the peninsula. And notice those high temperatures. Jacksonville just struggling to 84 on Wednesday to 86 in Tampa and even Orlando. So you have any plans to go to the theme parks there could be some rain around. And then this front's just going to stick around, and we're going to have to watch it closely. Sometimes in the tropics you can get circulation develop along the front. Not seeing anything like that right now. And things will finally start to settle down, but not until Friday and Saturday. So we'll get to our big three here in Tampa, but let's have Lee Southwick take it away from beautiful Jacksonville, Florida. And Lee, we're talking about that transition period, so to speak. One of my favorite words, right? I like, pinpointing everything, but it does look like there's still going to be a bit of a transition period before we really get into the thick of the rain as we go into next week. And that's good news for our plans.
It is. Now, what I'm about to start with, though, and show you looks a little different because we do have some of these coastal showers moving on shore. We've been watching for a lot of rain dumping over one portion of I-95 in St. Johns County. So that's what I'm starting with a live look at. But as Mike said, it's not a washout. So we do have rain chances in the forecast today, but a lot of you will still stay dry. It's for these areas, mainly along and south of I-10 and closer to the coast that have the higher chance of rain. So those of you right now, I-95 at mile marker 302 in St. Johns County, that's where we've had this downpour just set up over and over again. So as you can see on our graphics here on radar, not a whole lot of rain, but this is more St. Johns County and Flagler County, but also moving into Putnam and Duval. See that one heavier downpour right over I-95 in southern St. Johns? That's where we just had that live look at. So not the most pleasant drive along the interstate from Flagler through St. Johns and even into portions of Duval too. We'll have to watch out for some of these showers out there that are moving on shore and generally moving north as well. Some of them drifting north, some of them drifting to the west from coastal areas. So not everyone's seeing rain. Not everyone will see rain today. Again, it won't be a washout. More of the story is the heat, as Mike Prangley said. Today, temperatures near 91 degrees, but feeling more like the triple digits. Our feels like temperatures up to around and even in some parts above, or some places above 100 degrees. And we do have that 30% chance of rain. So a lot of you will likely want to get outside, maybe take a dip in the pool to cool down. Just keep an eye on the sky. Of course, you can check out the radar on our apps as well and get a look at the rain chances there. But rain coverage today, again, 20 to 30%, not a washout. However, more of it closer to the coast. If you are going to the beach, keep an eye on that. Be aware of that. Also, you would likely want to go swimming to cool down with it feels like temperature right around 99 degrees. But please be aware there is a moderate rip current risk out there today. Also, good bit of sunshine when the showers aren't moving through, and that gives us a UV index of 10, which is a burn time of around 10 to 15 minutes. So don't forget the sunscreen, the sun protection. That, of course, also goes if you're going to any of the football games. This future radar for us here in Northeast Florida also happens to show Gainesville and Alachua County, and it looks like some of those storms that will roll through, move on shore, kind of pop up over the St. Johns River and the I-95 corridor, they're going to push west, and so you will see some of those showers and storms work their way west, unfortunately closer to game time in Gainesville, so we're going to be watching that closely. For the rest of our area, though, again, along and south of I-10, those are the higher rain chances. Not a whole lot of rain for those of you in southeast Georgia. And even those of you in, say, Columbia County, not too much rain either. We're going to watch those inland spots, though. But when it comes to our rainfall, again, not a complete washout of a day. However, as we head into Sunday, those rain chances do start to tick up a bit. So rain in the afternoon, mainly after noon. That's when we could see more of those showers and thunderstorms develop, which not great timing with the 1 o'clock kickoff for the Jags game. I'll have that forecast here soon. But some of you might want to shower because, once again, it's hot. Highs will be in the lower 90s. Feels like temperatures will be around 100 degrees. Now, the pattern change starts on Monday. We'll see more of a breeze, which that persistent onshore flow and already astronomically higher tides when it comes to the full moon means that we could have a bit of coastal flooding, minor flooding at times of high tide, not only Monday, but into next week. Besides that, our temperature is still sitting in the 90s there, but then dropping back into the 80s soon. So as we head into Tuesday, that's when we have a weather impact alert in effect. We have a 70% coverage of rain and storms. So that will bring more numerous showers and thunderstorms, bringing the risk of localized flooding, maybe some ponding on the roadways. So this is not even associated with the coastal flooding that we could see at times of high tide due to the onshore wind and the full moon, but just so much rain off and on in the same spots, falling over and over again again, could lead to a bit of water collection, especially by Tuesday. So I'm going to give you guys a quick look at the 7-day forecast for the First Coast or the Jacksonville area. You can see we do have that weather impact alert in effect for Tuesday, but looking beyond that, we still have those rain chances in the forecast and the persistent onshore flow. So we'll have to watch out for coastal flooding throughout that rest of that time. Mike?
Yeah, it looks great. And you're talking about that coastal flooding. It's been an issue across Northeast Florida, especially in Mandarin this week along the Julington Creek, Durbin Creek area. And unfortunately, the situation could become worse again. I mean, we've got that nor'easter type situation kicking back in this week with that full moon. So we're calling it a full moon weekend, and we get excited when we get some good views of it, and we love your pictures. But again, for our folks along northeastern Florida, along the Julington Creek and areas that are prone to flooding, could be an issue once again with those tides at high tide. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. As we look at the overall picture this weekend, it's officially called the full corn moon. I was thinking we need to come up with a new name for us. I know the Native Americans call it the corn moon because that's when you harvest the corn. But here in Florida, we're locals, right? We would call it maybe the full hurricane moon. Not that a hurricane's come, but a full hurricane moon because this is the peak of hurricane season. What do you think, Lee? So maybe we need to reinvent this full corn moon, at least give it a name, more familiar for us locals, right? And then as we take a look at our full moon, officially it's Sunday, September 7th, so 2:09 tomorrow afternoon, okay? And then we're looking for this moon in some areas of the world call it something totally different, a full blood moon, because it's actually coinciding with a lunar eclipse, which is cool. So you've got the Earth coming between the sun and the moon. So you got the Earth shadow on the moon. So it's pretty cool here. If you're in Horsham, England, so I'm looking for some pictures from my family in England. They're going to work on it for us because that full moon, again, they're 5 hours ahead. So they'll get a good look at it, especially as we head toward tomorrow evening in England. We're going to be in the daylight, so we won't be able to enjoy that lunar eclipse. So 80% of the world will get in on this lunar eclipse this time around. But at least, we will at least see a beautiful moon in the sky because, as Lee was saying, and I agree, that this is not a washout type weekend. So Jacksonville Beach moonrise, we got at 7:45 p.m. Sand Key moonrise at 7:50 p.m. So that'll be nice. And in fact, as we take a look at my big three here in Tampa, from Hillsborough County to Pinellas County, there's Pier 60, one of my favorite running spots, just a very soft sand. So as we go through today, great beach weather, low rain chances as that sea breeze moves in. We're already starting to see that. See how the clearing's already starting to show up right along the coast. And then you've got the clouds moving inland. So yeah, we're talking isolated inland storms today. So big three for me is the tropics are quiet at the peak of the season. Yes, there's a lot to watch every day, lots of little things to keep track of, but at this point, no big threats, all right? And then for the weekend, of course, more heat than storms. Lee was talking about the heat stroke weather, making sure you hydrate, especially for those heading to football games, feeling like 102. That's just an average, okay? And then we take a look at Tuesday through Thursday. I have turning stormy here as well, and I am on board with at least a weather impact alert, even for us here in Tampa, starting on Tuesday. So stay tuned for that. We take a look at our satellite radar composite. There's a few of those showers, those coastal showers Lee was talking about. So they'll continue to their march across the St. Johns River and in toward the inland locations. And then here on the West Coast, we're going to see a march of some showers moving right along I-75, and they'll march inland. And guess where they meet? Yeah, you got it, right along the I-75 corridor. So we'll watch that through the afternoon hours. And that old front I was talking about across South Florida, that's where most of our moisture is for today. And of course, we're kind of between fronts, old front south, big front up across North Georgia. So as we look at our forecast in detail county by county, we said the sea breezes meet toward the spine of the Sunshine State, and there it is. We head toward 6, 7 o'clock. That's where most of your storms are. And what's interesting, as they come together, they'll kind of drift a little bit toward the west coast this evening. So we'll keep an eye on areas like Hernando County and Citrus County for maybe even a late evening rumble of thunder toward Hudson, and maybe just a little sprinkle left over by the time we get to Pinellas County as we head in toward about 9 o'clock tonight. As we go through our Sunday, I don't see a huge pattern change, at least for us here in Central Florida. A little different maybe for North Florida. We'll get to that Jaguars forecast with Lee. But for us, again, we're looking for maybe a quick coastal shower. Sound familiar? Okay, and then we actually see most of that activity really popping up inland during the afternoon. And then as we go through next week, we'll start to see an increase in some of those showers. So for our grill cast, we're going to fire up the grill and watch some great football today. I mean, we're talking about a 8 out of 10 here as we go through the afternoon. Get those steaks on the grill. Late day, I've got the red spatula. We'll keep an eye out of the sky for those pop-up storms, especially from Tampa and inland. 4 out of 10, and then back up to a 6 this evening with the lower rain chances. So as we go through the week, again, we're talking about these are more typical this time of year. 50% coverage today, 40% Sunday. But why I'm thinking we need a weather impact alert, I'm thinking Tuesday, Wednesday at 60, could be 70, 80% as we go through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday as that front comes down from Jacksonville from our friends up north. So today, again, big game, and we're going to get to some of those sporting events now. We got Lee here, and Lee, I'm looking at the Futurecast, and I've zoomed in on Alachua County, and you know this county very well as a Gator, right? Gator alum. So here's 4:30 this afternoon. What I like about this map, though, is these look like they're more of the isolated thunderstorms that are come together as we head toward game time. I know kickoff's at 4:15 for USF and the Gators. You see 4:30, we're starting to see the change. And if you look at the rain percentages, notice St. Augustine's fine, Jacksonville, Neptune Beach, nothing. But Gainesville, of course, with the highest rain chance right now at about 50, maybe a little higher, 50, 60%. I think I went 60% this morning. So what are your thoughts? Can we bring home the victory, and can we dodge the storms? That's the question, right?
It absolutely is. I believe, but I am excited. I do think it's going to be a good game. So I believe in the team. I believe that the Gators will win, but I do think it is going to be a tougher battle than originally thought. USF played well last game, so we will watch out for that. Hey, I'm going to start with a live look over the University of Florida here in Gainesville. This is a look at the stadium, which will be packed later on tonight, but you can see some of the clouds out there in the sky. So as Mike already explained, we're going to be watching for some of those storms to drift and those showers to drift towards Alachua County. We'll keep an eye on it. We are not saying it's going to be a washout, but we are saying that there could be some rain in the area that we'll keep an eye on. Meanwhile, if you are sick of us talking about the Gators, you must be a Seminole. And there's your look at Florida State University. Beautiful there. Be prepared. It's going to be hot. Yeah. Or you know what? You could also be a dog. And we have a lot of Georgia Bulldogs here in the Jacksonville area. So I got to give a live look out over the University of Georgia, too. You see, I play nice as a Gator. I'll give you all your live looks. Here's a look at our forecast for all of the games. If you are traveling to Tallahassee or Athens, I think you're going to stay dry. Just be aware of the heat. Please stay hydrated. Please don't forget your sunglasses and your hat and your sunscreen. Temperatures in the 90s, lower 90s, but feeling like the upper 90s, close to 100 degrees. It will be hot. We don't want anyone passing out in the stands. In Gainesville, also sweltering. I think temperatures in the 90s, but feeling more like 102, 103 degrees possible with that humidity. But of course, humidity because it's moisture in the atmosphere, which means rain chances. So we've already talked about those rain chances in Gainesville, and that's why we have that chance of rain around game time in Gainesville when USF takes on UF. Meanwhile, here in Jacksonville, we're keeping an eye out also at the beautiful Everbank Stadium, where we do have a big game tomorrow against the Panthers. And same story for this game. Now, we're talking NFL football on Sunday. Temperatures hot, highs in the lower 90s. Feels like temperatures around 100 degrees. Of course, you would be cooled down if there is rain. So some of you might be looking for a brief shower, others of you not. Unfortunately, we are expecting some more showers to pop up across Jacksonville tomorrow as opposed to today. So we can't rule out that chance of a shower around game time. Unfortunately, some models trying to pop a downpour over the stadium at kickoff. Now, of course, we're not saying that's absolutely going to happen. We're just mentioning it because we want you to be prepared, be aware. Maybe if you can easily stick a poncho in your pocket or in your purse, not a bad idea. It's kind of the same with the Gator game today. Not bad to keep a poncho nearby just in case, but we are not saying it's going to be a washout. We are saying it's going to be hot, right, Mike? I mean, it's going to be pretty brutal out there.
It doesn't matter. Every season.
I don't know about you.
Yeah.
Yes, I say everyone has told me, hey, you know what? We're not mad at you for this because it's for the Jags, the first game of the season. For the Gators, it's the second game of the season. We're used to this. Even though these temperatures are technically warmer than normal for this time of year, they're like, you know what? Like, we're going to expect it this early in the season. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. There's going to be that chance for rain.
Yeah, it just seems, even though, you know, you've had 8 straight days below 90 degrees, and now you're just going right back into the thick of the heat. So,
so nice.
Again, just
right in time for football. Like, ugh.
It's the east side of the stadium that really, boy. So I usually take breaks. I run for food in the bud zone there, and I try to get lots of water and lots of refreshments to stay cool. But again, for folks heading to the game, make sure you hydrate well before. The mistake they make is they wait till they get thirsty, they tell me, and then some of my sayings, don't wait until it's too late. So tomorrow, good advice there for certain, Lee. And I guess I'll be brave enough to show that pop-up. Here's Duval tomorrow, 10:50, and this is what Lee was talking about. It's okay to show. Yeah, there it is. So you can see it trying to come right over Everbank Stadium, a 60% chance. But again, we're more in the pattern, and I'm agreeing with Lee, we're more in the pattern of this is more of the isolated to widely scattered variety, and this is just a model, okay? It's just smoothing out a higher chance rain. So you got the west side at 60, south side, Mandarin, 20%. So see, hopefully by tomorrow, we'll be talking about just the 20% for downtown to the north side, and we'll keep those isolated storms away. But just something to be aware of. Take the poncho and make sure you have a safe spot to go in case of lightning. We can't rule that out as well. And then notice by tomorrow through the afternoon from Duval back into Clay County, Middleburg, things should settle down, and then we'll get ready for our big rounds of rain on Monday. So we take a look at the tropics. This is the big story. As Lee was talking, I said, yeah, look at all this new data coming in. Let's update that 30%. Yeah, we went from a high 90% chance of a storm developing as I walk over the wall to now a 30%. And, you know, these go back and forth a lot. And I've seen models where they take a storm from 90 to 10 and it goes right back up and we get a named system. So we still have to watch it. But right now, very low chance of development because there's a consensus in most of the spaghetti models I've been looking at this morning and all of the models we use that it's not going to survive. So I like that trend, and hopefully that is our friend. As we take a look at this system here, you can see one of the reasons it's being snuffed out, well, a lot of Saharan dust. It's our best friend this time of year. So that will help us a bit. But again, it's just temporary, and we just keep checking back day by day because we are officially this week at the peak of hurricane season, 4 days away. So here we are right here, right near that mountaintop right there, and then things will slowly get better as we head through November. So we have a long way to go. We have like 72% of our season to go. And as we look at the long range, the trends I'm liking, Lee, what I'm seeing here in the Atlantic, yeah, we're still going to watch the predominant main development region, the MDR. That's normal here as we head toward the last 2 weeks of September. But one thing I'm watching is these untapped hot waters, these bath waters closer to home. We don't like to see this. Southern Gulf, Northern Caribbean, and toward the Bahamas. So this is an area we're going to keep a very close eye on as we go into the latter part of September. And we're watching these high pressure systems that have been steering storms away so far this season, and yet they tend to move. They're not going to stay where we've seen earlier in the season. So if we get something that develops, possibly a whole new track that we're going to have to look at. So as we head towards September 16th, we have one high pressure drifting more toward Europe, second one over Missouri, but I don't like seeing this high pressure up over the northern Midwest because sometimes that means lower pressure in the areas of the tropics, which we don't like to see as we go into late September. So watching again the Caribbean and the Southern Gulf, at least what I'm circling at this point as we head into the last 2 weeks of September. As the Euro looks at the latest model data, as I look at the Euro here, I'm just not seeing much in the way of development. And again, we'll continue to keep an eye not just on the open Atlantic, but closer to home here in the Southern Gulf here. So Lee, we still have a couple more minutes, but right now at least the news is promising. But it's a good reminder, now's the time to make sure you're prepared, right?
Absolutely. That's why, you know, we enjoy seeing only one area of low chance of development as we approach the peak of hurricane season. But as we know, the season is active through the entire month of September, even into October. You get that second little peak. So we are not letting our guard down. And so we want you all to stay prepared. Make sure you still have that hurricane kit updated. Nothing's expiring in there. And now's a good time to kind of refresh your plans. Make sure you do know where you're going, where you would bring your pets, your elderly family, friends, neighbors, and all of that stuff. So, you know, I know, Mike, while we are I want to whisper the word quiet. We're calmer right now in the Atlantic, of course, still watching that area with low chance of development. Yeah, exactly. Shh. While we don't have to focus our attention on the Atlantic. There are other areas in the tropics that we are watching.
Yeah, so for our friends in Hawaii, you know, we got a minute left here, but we've got this major hurricane, but again, as it moves off to the west, it's going to undergo wind shear, and it's expected to lift with a trough in the atmosphere a little farther north. So right now, don't have any tropical storm watches or hurricane watches for our friends in Hawaii. It would make a move with the stormiest weather, it looks like, by late Monday into Tuesday, but right now, it looks like a weakening system staying north. That would be the weaker side of Kika, but we'll keep an eye on it, right?
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for breaking down the tropics for us. I'm glad we don't have any immediate threats to us here in Florida over the next 7 days, but everyone at home, just know that we are watching it closely.
We certainly are. Great job as always, Lee. We got my Gator hat on. Good luck to both teams, USF and the Gators. Let's have a great game. Let's keep those storms and the lightning away. Chomp, chomp. And we'll see you back here on Weather Impact Live tomorrow at 11 a.m. Must See TV.